The Anglo-Saxon settlement of Britain is the process which changed the language and culture of the most of what became England from Romano-British to Germanic. The Germanic speakers in Britain, themselves of diverse origins, eventually developed a common cultural identity as Anglo-Saxon. This process principally occurred from the mid-5th to early 7th centuries following the end of Roman rule in Britain around the year 410. The settlement was followed by the establishment of the Heptarchy, Anglo-Saxon kingdoms in the south and east of Britain, later followed by the rest of modern England and the southeast of modern Scotland. The areas the Vikings settled in were known as Danelaw. It covered an area roughly east of a line on the map joining London and Chester. The Saxons lived south of the line. The Vikings settled in Ireland off the coast of Scotland, Shetland, Orkney and the Hebrides, around the north and northwest coast of Scotland, part of Ireland. Dublin is a Viking city, the island of Man, a small part of Wales, Northumbria, which included modern Yorkshire, East Anglia, Leicester, Nottingham, Derby, Stamford and Lincoln. The Saxons created institutions which made the English state strong for the next 500 years. One of these institutions was the King's Council, called the Witan. The Witan probably grew out of informal groups of senior warriors and churchmen to whom kings like Offa had turned for advice or support on difficult matters. By the 10th century, the Witan was a formal body, issuing laws and charters. It was not at all democratic, and the king could decide to ignore the Witan advice. Viking societies were governed by local assemblies called things. They discussed important political matters, made laws, and decided on punishment if laws were broken. Free Vikings were all allowed to attend and speak at these. They were usually held once a year. The Anglo-Saxons generally lived and worked in small but complex and sturdy thatch-roofed buildings which clustered around a large social hall. Each family group might have 5 or 6 smaller buildings around a large. The Vikings built their houses from local materials such as wood, stone, or blocks of turf. They lived in long rectangular houses made with upright timbers. The halls were made of wooden sticks covered with mud to keep out the wind and rain. Viking houses were often one-room homes with a cooking fire in the middle. The smoke escaped through a hole in the roof. The tools used in Anglo-Saxon England were much like those found elsewhere in Europe at that time. They have been found in graves and buried tool hoards. Others seem to be accidental losses or to have been discarded due to wear or damage. Most are surprisingly like those in use today. The Vikings were highly special craftsmen with a wide range of tools. An axe wasn't just an axe. At least 7 different types had been identified, each with its special use. In the Viking Age, a number of different types of weapons were used: swords, axes, bows and arrows, lances, and spears. The Vikings also used various aids to protect themselves in combat: shields, helms, and chain mail. The weapons that Vikings possessed depend on their economic capacity, whereas swords were the costly weapons of the elite. Axes and lances were affordable to the warriors to the broader population. Viking ships were marine vessels of unique structure used in Scandinavia from the Viking Age throughout the Middle Ages. The boat types were quite varied, depending on what the ship was intended for, but they were generally characterized as being slender and flexible boats with symmetrical ends with true keel. Almost all Anglo-Saxons were farmers. They spent most of their time working on the land, growing food, and looking after animals. They mostly grew einor, a type of wheat, rye, barley, oats, peas, and beans. Scandinavian people during the Viking Age could survive in all kinds of nature, in a land which experiences extreme weather and treasured 6-month winters. Surviving was a full-time job, and for Vikings and Viking Age families, the most important thing each day regarding survival was finding food. This meant that hunting, fishing, and woodsmanship skills were necessary skills that had to be maintained all the time.